Hi everyone, it's Mary from the Mystic Mages, and thank you so much for joining me for another recipe video. I'm so excited about my Italian chicken pasta bowl. It's one of my favorite recipes. I just feel like it's a go-to recipe. It's a little more complicated to make, it takes a little time, and I just love putting in the effort and coming up with this delicious, really warming food. So I'm going to show you guys how it's done, and if you have any questions, let me know below. So first we're just going to start with some simple ingredients. We have some carrots, some cauliflower, butter, Italian seasoning, pasta, bacon, and chicken. You can use whatever you want, but those are my go-tos. So the first thing you want to do is get your pan nice and warm because we're going to put some bacon in there. Then we're going to go over and we're going to start cutting up your chicken. Now, I'm just butterflying my chicken here. You can cut it any way you want. You want it relatively thin so it'll cook up nice and fast. But just, go ahead and cut up your chicken any way that you want, or if you're using tofu, cut that any way you want, and we're going to be frying this shortly. From there, I want to just really make my chicken nice and flavorful. So I'm going to add some salt, some pepper, and some Italian herbs. I just use dry, really good Italian herbs, and I just cover this chicken front and back pretty liberally, particularly with the Italian herbs, and just rub it in so that they're just delicious and really well coated with the herbs, because that's going to be kind of the star of the meal. And set that aside, we're going to come back to it later. Now your pan should be nice and heated, so go ahead and throw down your bacon. We're just going to cook this. You're going to cook it pretty well, but you don't want to burn it, so just get that going and leave the juices in the pan because we'll use those later. Now what you're going to want to do is chop up some carrots. So I leave the skin on my carrots, but just cut these in kind of half-quarter sizes. Just chopped up about 2 whole carrots, and just put those aside because you're going to use those later. Next thing you want to do is chop up your cauliflower or whatever other vegetables you're using. Chop that up again in kind of the same types of sizes, and just put that aside because you're going to start that in just a second. Now get some water boiling because you're going to be throwing in some pasta. So you just want to set a pot ready to go, and I always throw a little pot salt into my pasta water, so go ahead and do that as well. At this point, your bacon should be all done and really ready to kind of come out of the pan. So just put that down on some paper towels and set it aside, and we'll chop it up and use it later. And you might have a few minutes, but soon your water is going to be all ready to go. So just break up your pasta. I like to break my pasta in half and then put it in your pan so that it's boiling, and just let that cook its full and normal amount of time. Once the bacon's all gone, we kind of use that same warm pan and just place our chicken in there. So you want to space it out so it can all cook really evenly, but just put it in there. We're going to cook one side and then the other. Now in another little pan, this is where I'm going to start just steaming my vegetables. So I threw in my cauliflower, my carrots, and just a pat of butter, and then just put the lid on so that that can start steaming. You don't want to roast these or anything at this point, but you want to soften them up a little bit so they're not too crunchy in the end. Now I'm just going to flip my chicken over, and I'm going to kind of smash it down just a little bit because I really want it to cook. We're going to break it up a little bit more later, but just kind of, make sure all the pieces are cooking, because it's that beautiful crust that we really want to form on your chicken or whatever type of meat substitute you're using. So just let that continue to cook. And you might have a few minutes of downtime, but soon your water and your pasta is going to be all done, so go ahead and drain that, set that aside, and it looks delicious. So once my chicken was done, I went ahead and pulled it out of the pan and just chopped it up into kind of these small bite-sized type, just that normal size. You don't want it to be too big of a bite. So I chopped up all my chicken, and then I just threw it back into kind of a different pan that I have. It was just a clean pan because my cast iron gets really kind of dirty when I cook in it. So I put it into another pan, and I'm just letting it cook. I went ahead and dumped in my vegetables. So this is kind of my steamed carrots and cauliflower. They steamed for about 5 minutes or so, so they're just a little bit softer. So I mixed all those together and just really wanted to start incorporating the flavors. This is also where I threw in my crumbled bacon. This is mostly cooked, so I don't want it to cook too much longer, but I just threw it in there because I wanted to really incorporate all of those delicious flavors. Now from here, I want to add in some more Italian seasoning. I just love the way it tastes, and it really adds so much to the dish. It's really the focal point of the dish. So go ahead and put a whole bunch more Italian seasoning to taste in there. And I just added in a pat of coconut oil because I didn't want my chicken to get too dry. And I just let that cook for about a minute or two and then turn that off. So now it's really time to assemble this masterpiece. So the first thing that I did is I just laid down a whole bed of pasta. So just threw in all of my pasta into just kind of a dish that I had, and it just looks delicious. You want to go ahead and add in just 1, 2, or 3, whatever your personal preference is, of pats of butter. I ended up putting 3 in here because the pasta was a little dry. So just add in your pats of butter, and then go ahead and just put a whole bunch of Italian seasoning in there and just start stirring it. Your pasta will stick in the beginning, so you want to just kind of keep moving it around, keep stirring it a little bit until it really gets that butter incorporated. It's smooth, a little bit more silky, and moves around. As you can see, I'm just dumping on the Italian seasoning. Put as much or as little as you want, whatever different herbs or seasonings you would like. Just kind of mix those all in. So put them all together and just mixed and mixed and mixed, and just got this beautiful bed in there. And you might have to add in more butter depending on how dry or how fresh your pasta is. So just do whatever is right for you, and it's gonna be absolutely delicious. So now you kind of have this nest of pasta all ready to go. Then you wanna just dump your chicken and carrots and cauliflower on top of it, and just really get everything in the bowl if you can. It might be a little bit hard. And then we're gonna mix this all together. So now all those flavors are really coming together. Everything's delicious and warm. And now you wanna kind of mix the vegetables and the chicken or whatever you kind of decide to put in your pasta bowl in with your pasta. So just get it in there and start just tossing it a little bit, honestly. It's the best way to kind of incorporate all the flavors. And just the steam and the butter is gonna mix with the herbs and the carrots and the cauliflower and this really flavorful, kind of nice and crispy chicken. It's all just gonna mix together and be absolutely delicious. And it's just such a fun meal. It's such a beautiful kind of piece. It just, when I look at it, I just think of fall and warmth and hearty. It's just so delicious, and it just reminds me, it's very simple, very clean, and it's just, I don't know, it's just something I absolutely love, and I love making this recipe. Like I said, I know there's kind of a, it's not the easiest because there's a lot of dishes and kind of a lot of cleanup with it, but sometimes I really just want to dive into cooking, and I want to present something that's beautiful, both to the smells and while I'm cooking it and the way it looks and everything. And this is just one of my absolute favorite meals, and I sometimes put in broccoli or asparagus, or if I have pork, or if I don't want to use any meat at all, or peas, and just whatever I have laying around, I mix it all together, and it's just absolutely fantastic. Squash is wonderful in this meal, so go ahead and replace those. Use any herbs you want, though I love a good high quality Italian seasoning. A lot of oregano in there, a lot of delicious herbs that really come out when you kind of blend them together with butter and everything else that's fantastic. So as you can see, this meal is just absolutely delicious. Kind of easy to make. It's not, no part of it is hard, though I know there's a number of steps. Absolutely delicious, total showstopper. This amount of food can probably feed 4 to 6 people, depending on how many hungry mouths you have. And then I like to just sprinkle it with Parmesan on the top, and it just perfects it. So wonderful meal. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. I love you guys, and I hope you just have the most blessed time in your kitchen, just getting in there, experimenting, trying out some things. And if you try this recipe, go ahead and tag us at the Mystic Mages so that we can see it. And I love you guys, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.